Out of college, what was your plan?
I was staying at the office 60, 70 hours a week.
So does that mean you were out on site yelling at people?
I'd kind of be in charge of managing budgets.
On $1 million or few $1 million project.
My original business plan didn't include shipping costs, eBay fees.
So your lifestyle in Hawaii was active. Be out spearfishing, you're out hiking.
Sleeping down in the bugs and lizards and all that.
I'm sure other people who are listening might be intrigued. Hi, and welcome to the Reiterate Show. Thanks for giving us a watch or a listen from wherever you are in the world. Our goal with this show is to introduce you to people who have gone through setbacks in their lives while they pursue happiness and fulfillment. Through these interviews and these conversations, hopefully you'll see that we are all capable of bouncing back and achieving greatness. Enjoy the conversation. And welcome to the show today. Thanks for being here. I had a really cool conversation with today's guest, Chad Peterson. If you've ever worked in construction or if you've ever been a project manager on a project that was set up for failure from the beginning, or if you run an online business on Amazon or eBay, something like that, I'm sure you'll get a lot out of today's conversation. Enjoy. So Chad, you've had quite a journey over the last 10 years. Out of college, what was your plan? What were you going to do? You had a degree. What was the career path for you?
So I got a degree in construction, and from there my plan was just, work in construction, do project management, build houses. I didn't really have any plan as to where I wanted to move or live. I ended up getting a job in Hawaii and moved there. I ended up loving it. After a few years, my responsibilities started to grow a little bit, and I was doing some higher end projects, bigger resort hotels and stuff. And with that came more responsibility, more time putting in at the office. I was newly married at the time, so I was staying at the office sometimes 60, 70 hours a week, and it just wasn't an enjoyable experience. I'd come home irritable, tired, and at the time, Mary, we were just getting to know each other, so she wasn't really thrilled with my lifestyle and my job and where I was heading with that career at that time.
So you were in Hawaii. What island were you on?
Kauai.
You were on Kauai and working construction management. So does that mean you were out on site yelling at people, telling them what to do? Or you've mentioned you were in the office. Was it more of a at a desk type of job?
So it was project engineering and project management. So it was a mix of both. We'd have to kind of see through a project. I'd kind of be in charge of managing budgets, schedule. There would typically be a superintendent out in the field making sure everything on site was going good, but I would still go out and check the project and work with subs, work with pricing, that kind of thing. So when you're dealing with pricing and you're dealing with owners, they really want, especially on a multi-million-dollar project, they really want to make sure that, every penny's counted and everything's accounted for.
Oh, really? So on a big project, I would have thought the opposite. On a million or few $1 million project, you're checking the budget down to the dollar as opposed to rounding off at 10, 20 bucks, 50 bucks, $100. They scrutinize it more, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you have a big resort hotel, you have 400 or 500 units, and in that individual unit, if you have a sink that, say, is $200, and you can find that sink for $180, you're saving a lot of money throughout the whole project. And so that's kind of what my job was. Is I would look at costs like that, try to find things for cheaper, work with subs, talk about the budget, and talk about ways that they can do the project for cheaper, not necessarily forcing them to do it cheaper or making them cut their budget, although sometimes we would do that, but mostly how can you do this project for a little bit cheaper so that towards the end of the project we can have a little bit less off the total cost.
I see. And so you were building hotels or houses or both?
Mostly hotels, bigger resort hotels.
I see. Okay, so beginning of your marriage, you're working 60, 70 hours a week. You're in Kauai. I mean, that had to have been amazing, being on the islands.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. I mean, that's what you want to do when you live in Kauai. You want to be able to go out and hike on the weekends and enjoy the beach. And I went spearfishing a lot and kayaking and hiking to secluded beaches and all of that. But when you're working 70 hours a week, you just don't have time for that. You just can't really enjoy where you're living and what you're doing.
I see.
When you're putting in those hours.
How many years did you work that job? How many years did you grind out the 60, 70 hour week?
I mean, there was a few jobs that weren't quite as bad, but the final job that I did, it was 2010, I think. It was just right after I got married. It was a really tough project. The person who bid the job just didn't bid it really well. He was under on a lot of costs. So when I got put in as a project manager, I was expected to be able to make a profit on that job. And when I looked at it, I just couldn't see anywhere where we could make a profit. We didn't include concrete. We didn't include a special kind of paint. There was just a lot of things that they had missed. So going through those at the beginning of the project, trying to find a way to make it profitable for the company, I just couldn't see a way to do that. And I guess that's kind of where it snowballed into the just wanting to be done with construction. Yeah. So I did that job for close to a year. And so that's kind of where I started into my eBay business. I didn't go into that business trying to make like a huge profit or have that be my only source of income.
The last construction project was pretty difficult. It was set up for failure, and you didn't see a way that you were going to be able to be successful in this project. So your mind, starts thinking about other things, other career paths? What happened?
I was, at that time, every day I would be coming home just exhausted, frustrated with the job. There were so many owners on the hotel's end that would just be calling me all hours of the day. So I'd be getting calls starting at 6 in the morning. A lot of them are on the mainland, and being in Hawaii, you're on 4 or 5, 6 hour different time. So they didn't care. They would just call me 6 a.m., 10 p.m. So it was kind of getting frustrating at that point. They weren't happy because we just weren't able to do the project for the budget that they wanted. So at that time, that's when I started to look for a different opportunity. I was looking at some different construction companies to work for, started to look on the mainland for some different jobs. I never really originally thought that I would be able to just start into some business on my own. That wasn't really the idea of this eBay and Amazon business that I started. Originally, me and Mary were just looking at some of these parachute silk hammocks. I was looking at them and I thought, man, those are really cheap. I bet I could take those and sell them on eBay. And so I talked to Mary and gave her kind of a simplified business plan. I said, hey, I can get these hammocks for $25 and I think I can sell them on eBay for $40. And so she was like, okay, yeah, try it. If we can make, a couple $100 a week extra, I mean, that's fun. That's good, some good side cash to have. I ended up buying 20 instead of 2 and then selling those on eBay. And my original business plan didn't include shipping costs, eBay fees, PayPal fees, packaging, returns. There was a lot of things that I just didn't take into account. So I did end up selling them. I made a little bit of money off of it, but not quite as much as I was hoping. But that did kind of start me onto this path of doing this a little bit more seriously. I need to put some more time into looking at some of these places where I can buy this stuff, getting some contact of stores that are liquidating old merchandise and discontinued merchandise, and start building up this business.
So your lifestyle in Hawaii was active. You would be out spearfishing, you're out hiking, and somehow there was a product that caught your eye because it was something that you were trying to buy. How did you come across these parachute hammocks?
One of these places, it's Kaui. It's a beach on Kauai. It's a pretty famous place. Instead of just setting up a tent and sleeping on the ground, you just set up these lightweight hammocks. They're like 12, 13 ounces. You set those up and just sleep in the trees instead of sleeping down in the bugs and lizards and all that. So it's a pretty common thing for people to use.
And so you were aware of this idea, and you saw that people were buying these hammocks. And at that point, it sounds like it wasn't going to be a career change. So at this point, with your construction career, people were calling you at all hours of the day. They were incessant. They never stopped calling, and the project was doomed from the beginning. So you were between a rock and a hard place, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, were you aware of the internet? Were you aware that people were making money selling things on eBay and on Amazon? Was that something you had learned about previously, or was this a brand new idea?
No, it was kind of a brand new idea. I'd always figured that the very cheapest of anything was on eBay. So I just figured it was stores or people that were selling, their sunglasses they got from grandma on eBay, and I thought that was pretty much it. I never thought that it could be a buy and sell business model and be able to make a living off of doing it, until I looked into these parachute hammocks and saw them on eBay. I was comparing the price, and that's kind of where it started.
So you ordered 20 or 25 of these hammocks, you sell them, you make a little bit of money. What did you think next?
I thought it was a good idea, but I figured that I needed to do a little bit more research. I needed to be able to figure out how to cut costs, and be able to do more sales and find more products, because I wouldn't be able to sell enough hammocks in a given day to make it really worthwhile. So it took maybe 2 weeks to sell those 20 hammocks. You're making $3 or $4. It's not a significant amount of money, but it did spark, an interest in actually doing this and making it into a little bit bigger of a business.
I see. So how did you find time between working so much at the day job and then searching for more products and finding more suppliers and listing more products on eBay? How did you find the time to do that?
I don't really remember, but I would just assume that it was just, when I'd come home and we'd watch TV and be talking a little bit. I think it was just like, hey, we're planning this hike into Kalalau. We need some hammocks. I looked at it. I looked on eBay. I was like, oh, they're way more on eBay. I bet I could take these and sell them on eBay. It wasn't like, initially it wasn't like a lot of work I had put into it. It was just kind of I just happened upon it kind of deal.
And then after those first couple of weeks, when you thought to yourself, ooh, I need more products, I need to cut costs, I need to find a more profitable product, to me that sounds time consuming. How did you find time to then, the next 4 weeks, the next month or two that went by, how did you fit time in to do that research?
So with doing the eBay thing, it was so intriguing to me. Like, it was so interesting that I could actually buy these products online, take them home, and sell them and make a profit off of it, that it was more of a fun game than it was actual work. So starting out, I would just be going online. I would be looking at 100 different products. I'd quickly do a search on eBay. If I figured I could make $20-$30 off of that product, I ended up buying it. And so I was working, 60-70 hours a week, but that additional 10-12 hours a week that I was working on that, it was just kind of a time passing game while we were watching TV, and I didn't really see it as more work that I was putting in.
If it was an extra 10 hours a week, that's only an hour or two a day, that 30 minutes in the morning, an hour and a half at night, and it was fun for you, so you'd fit it in because you seemed pretty determined to figure out this puzzle.
Exactly.
Cool.
So it went from selling hammocks to sunglasses to clothing, jackets, bigger products. I can't remember everything, but a lot of products were really big and bulky, and so you can imagine shipping something that was 5 or 6 pounds from Hawaii to a place like New York. you're going to be spending a lot of money on shipping and insurance. And so that's kind of where I honed the shipping aspect of my business. I figured I probably shouldn't be dabbling into the 10, 15 pound items. I should be looking at more lightweight things. So initially, after I'd kind of worked out a lot of these heavier items and shipping holdups, I started looking at sunglasses and board shorts and things that are less than 1 pound that I can ship with a cheaper shipping service through USPS. And then that's kind of where I was able to cut a lot of costs. I was able to get like higher end sunglasses that I could buy for, $30, $40 and end up selling it for double that. And then that's where I could slowly see my profits start to increase on each individual item.
So without, giving away too many of your insider secrets, when you say you go find a pair of sunglasses and you sell it for double, I mean, that sounds so simple, but I have to imagine that there are millions of people who, if they knew, they would also do this. So how are you able to find these products at such a discount when, the other people who are wishing they could do this can't find them? What, did you have some sort of contact, or how did that happen?
A lot of it was finding new contacts, finding a lot of these stores, smaller stores that are liquidating their items, discontinued items, and just buying up the right model at the right time and making sure it's the right price, and then doing your research on eBay to make sure that product is actually going to sell and that I'm not going to be sitting on for a year. So if it's the right item, I might buy 10, 20 pairs of the same pair of sunglasses or board shorts. And if not, and I want to experiment on a new style or a new brand, I'd maybe just buy a couple, try it out, and then see where it goes from there.
So were you physically going to TJ Maxx, for examples? Because that's kind of the original of this business model, right? Buy out discontinued items and then put them in TJ Maxx, and then people come and buy them from the storefront. And then I have it understood that some people will go to these clearinghouse type stores, buy up 20 pairs of the Nike basketball shoes in size 10 and then list them on eBay, and then they're able to do a little bit of arbitrage. Were you physically going into these stores and like doing purchases like that?
So when I was in Kaui, I wasn't. Everything I was buying was online. I mean, there's not a lot of retail stores on Kaui. So everything initially was finding them online. And at the time, by the time I left Hawaii, there was probably 20 different stores and different contacts that I had that were supplying these products to me.
I see. So you reached out to different small mom and pop shops or something across the mainland United States, said, if you're going out of business, if you need to get rid of products, call me, I'll buy them. And then they'd ship you, I'm assuming in bulk, out to Kaui, where then you'd, one at a time, sell them off on eBay.
Yes. Yeah.
You have a number of contacts. You're receiving bulk orders of shipments from different suppliers throughout the United States of products that they're liquidating, they don't want anymore. What do the next few months or years look like? How did you transition out of your construction job? What was that like?
So I would say that the first few months, we were just dabbling, kind of testing the market. We weren't doing really well. When I look back at it, I was getting rid of a lot of merchandise that was just dirt cheap, just because I wanted to kind of test the market, see what I could get for these items, and then at the end, I kept a real meticulous spreadsheet of every fee that I'm paying, every cent that I'm spending on this item, shipping, PayPal, eBay fee, and then percentage of returns. There was a lot of groundwork that I was doing initially to kind of get this business going. It really didn't take long. I was making a pretty decent living at my construction job, and our costs weren't really high. It was just me and Mary. She had another job, and so we had quite a bit of extra money to be spending on merchandise and inventory. So from there, we were able to just start buying almost as much as I could find. And it really didn't take long before I was making as much as I was or more on eBay than I was in my construction job. And then from there, it was kind of like a no-brainer. I just said, I'm working 15 hours a week on this eBay thing, making as much as I am working 70 hours a week on construction. So that's when I handed in my letter of resignation and called it quits.
Did you stay on Kaui?
After quitting my job, we stayed on Kaui for another year. And then at that time, my dad had started to get the initial stages of Alzheimer's. And we decided, with the flexibility of my business, we could keep my business just on the other side of the border in Montana, and I could live in Alberta. We could help him out on the farm and be able to live there while still keeping my business in Montana. And I would just go back and forth every day, and it was, a 45-minute drive. And so we did it that way for about 3 or 4 years, and it still worked out really well. Montana's a great place to have a business like this. No taxes on merchandise, and so it worked out really well for 3 or 4 years doing it that way.
So you were able to scale something that you loved doing. It sounds like you're really interested in the puzzle of buying and selling online on eBay. You were able to scale that fairly quickly within less than a year. Then you got to spend an extra year on Kaui, probably doing all the things that you wished you would have been doing had you not been working 70 hours a week. And eventually moving everything out to Montana, and that's where you're at now?
We lived in Canada for 3 or 4 years. Then we decided Montana's a place we want to be. We want to be in the US because of the business. We really liked Whitefish area because it's kind of a resort town. The weather's a little bit more mild than it is, near Alberta where we were living. We just ended up really loving this town, and so we decided to stay here. We've been here about 4 years now.
And how many years has it been since you handed in your resignation letter at the construction company?
So it's been almost 9 years.
So for the last 9 years, your eBay business has sustained you and your family.
It's been a great business to have. It's been able to give us money to do the things that we want, to have enough free time and flexibility. I can spend time with my family. I can take days off if I want. We can go on a trip. There's still a lot of days when I'm working a lot of hours and working hard. Christmas is kind of a tough month. You're putting in a lot of time with Christmas orders. But overall, it's been a great, flexible little business to have to provide us income.
That's awesome. So was it scary making the jump from one career to the next?
Honestly, it wasn't. I mean, it was at the time, career-wise, I was in a pretty dark place. It was not a fun job to go to. I love doing construction. I love doing those projects. I am kind of a money guy. I like to look and see how you can save money, and that translated a lot to my eBay business, but it just wasn't a fun project to work on, and I think having this opportunity to kind of move into a different career was a pretty easy path to go down.
When you were at the construction company, if it was a dark time, how were you able to stay motivated to continue working there?
As far as construction jobs being available at that time, 2009, 2010, there weren't a lot of jobs open. And if you were in the construction industry, you considered yourself lucky to be in a job that was paying you a decent salary. I was able to do it. I think that it just wasn't like a fulfilling, career or path that I was taking at the time.
In the last 9 or 10 years, you've had a shift in your career, and most of the time when people are able to do this type of big career shift or life shift, they find inspiration, they find motivation in watching videos, listening to books, reading books. What are some books that you've read or listened to in these last number of years that have impacted your life?
So I think most of the books or audio books that I listen to are going to be more, your self-help categories. So things like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A lot of these kind of books are the ones that I like to listen to that will help me to like further my career, make myself a little bit better, a little bit more productive, be smarter with my money. And I think like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I'm actually in a place right now where I noticed that the real estate market is really good. And my wife and I talked about it, and we had some extra savings, and instead of putting that in a 401k or in some bonds or in the savings account, we decided to take that and start to do some construction projects out here. So we're currently building a couple rentals in a duplex, and we've noticed that the rental market here is so good. A lot of people want to live here because it is a resort town. It's a fun community to be in. There's a lot of outdoor recreation, lakes. We've got Glacier National Park close by. So it's a really good real estate market to be in here right now. And so we're trying to transition a little bit of that eBay time into a real estate time. And with my background in construction, I was able to use that and my skill of being able to save costs on different things and with subcontractors, and my wife's skill in being able to do some design work. We were able to do a lot of these construction projects and make some pretty good money doing that. So right now, eBay is losing a lot of its market share to Amazon, and eBay's not doing as good as it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's still doing pretty good with providing us an income, but I am definitely having to buy more merchandise, sell it for less, and I'm just not making the margins as I was several years ago. We put a lot of our merchandise into Amazon, and it's a little bit trickier. You have to be able to go through and update your inventory constantly. You can't double sell things or people get upset. One of the big things that I was pushing with my eBay business is staying a top-rated seller, a high up on the status, so that when people search a product, I will show up at the top of the list. So there's a lot of things that I've got to do to make sure that I'm at the top of the list. I have to ship out every day. I've got to answer emails every day. I've got to take returns. I've got to do free shipping. I've got to do free returns. So balancing that between Amazon and eBay, Amazon is a little bit similar to that. So, it's a little bit difficult to be able to manage both sites.
It sounds like you're having to straddle both eBay and Amazon. Do you foresee having to move completely to Amazon? Is the end of eBay in the next 5-10 years, do you think?
I think there's a possibility of it. I'm not seeing the same kind of margins as I did several years ago with eBay as you're seeing with Amazon. It is a little bit more difficult to be able to list your items on Amazon. They're a little bit more strict with their sellers. It is going to be a balancing act over the next few years to see what happens with eBay and what happens with Amazon, and if I still want to keep doing this, or if I want to venture off into something else and do real estate full time and building these construction projects, or if we want to do something completely different.
Chad, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you coming to tell your story about how you started in one career and transitioned into something different. That sounds like it's more of a fit for you and your lifestyle. You've made it work for your family. I'm sure other people who are listening might be intrigued by selling on Amazon, selling on eBay. If someone has a question for you, is there somewhere they could reach you?
Yeah, they could give me send an email. My email's chadepeterson@hotmail.com, CHADEPETERSON@hotmail.com.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Chad.
All right, thank you.